something interesting happened over the weekend in that the ever-cheap Cincinnati Bengals decided to re-sign their 2 wide receivers and actually make their quarterback happy, giving giant contracts to Jamar Chase and T. Higgins. And it made me think about the Eagles because the Eagles have already done that, right? They've already spent money on their 2 wide receivers. They've spent money on every single offensive lineman aside from their right guard. They've spent money on their quarterback. And this offseason, they've decided not to, whether it's cap or cash or whatever it is, they've decided not to reinvest financially, at least, into the defense, which would lead us to believe, and this is,
except for Zach Bond.
Except for Zach Bond, right? Yeah. And this would lead us to believe that even if the Eagles defense is good next year, it's probably not going to be the same level they played this year, that they trust the offense is sort of going to make up for that difference. And that maybe they look forward to next year being a little bit more like we thought this year would be, right? The offense leading the charge and being the strength of the team. I guess my question is, do you believe that they can build a Super Bowl team centered around the offense next year? Do you believe that the offense can be good enough to make up for what we're going to lose on the defense?
Yeah, simply put, we have no other choice. Yes. Yes, I do believe it. I believe the talent is there. The experience is there. The championship medal is already there. So you know that's in the DNA. That's the one thing I like about being in the situation that we're in is because they can do this without a ton of pressure, quote unquote, on them. They're going to have the onuses of the team to shoulder the burden of sort of carrying the team for the most part. And the defense will have to sort of figure its way or find its identity as they go through the season. I don't know if it'll be as quick as it was last year. Seemingly they found it in week 4, week 5. It was after that bye week, and they took off from there. I don't know if we can expect that same sort of production from this defense, considering how many new faces are going to be there, and not just new faces, but the level of talent to replace those guys isn't quite the same as the talent that left. That's fair, and that's understandable. That's why the offense has to do it. That's why you pay A.J. Brown, Devontae Smith, Saquon Barkley, Jalen Hurts. That's why you pay those guys. That's why those guys are making the amount of money they're making, and it's well-deserved. And we are to be thankful as a fan base that we aren't going into the offseason having lost the caliber of talent that we've lost, while also trying to add talent on the offensive side of the football so you can remain sort of relevant in this upcoming football season. The Eagles have already put themselves in that position. Now it's just about going out and doing it. And when you look at what we have over there, I don't really see a whole lot of reason why I shouldn't or wouldn't believe that if this is the way that we have to go, and I agree with you, this is going to have to be more of an offensive-led team, I'm perfectly fine with that. I'm actually interested in seeing what Jalen's going to look like in this offense this year. It's not since 17 going into the 18th season have we had a chance to watch a team come off of winning a championship and see how they react to that. I feel a lot different about this team than the 17 team. The talent is better. It's easier to sustain the success they've had. And I almost feel like there's a certain amount of confidence, bravado that's with these guys now that they realize they're the best team in football. I don't know if the 2017 team truly felt that.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think we even felt that, to be honest with you. There were enough questions about that team.
And they won it lightning in a bottle. We're not giving it back. It was our first one ever. I just believe this team has a different level of confidence to it. Or maybe it's just me that has a different level of confidence after what I witnessed in the Super Bowl. Like, when I think about the run they went on, and I know they could have lost to the Rams. I understand that. That Super Bowl run in 17, the only legitimate quarterback we beat was Tom Brady. And he put up damn near 600 yards on us.
He played pretty good.
Right?
Yeah.
We didn't beat a legitimate quarterback in 2022 on the way to losing a shootout to Kansas City. This run, Jordan Love, Matthew Stafford, Jaden Daniels, Patrick Mahomes. That's a convincing quartet of quarterbacks that if those are the teams we beat on the way to the championship, as a player, I'm feeling like, oh, I earned this. We earned this. We didn't duck no smoke. Detroit, it's their fault they weren't there. Not our fault Detroit wasn't there to play us. But we pretty much beat the teams you put in front of us, and they were all good football teams. I feel a level of confidence with this team moving forward that I only hope to have in 2017-18.
So it's not like I think this team, with the step back on defense and relying on the offense, goes from being a Super Bowl winner to, a wild card hopeful. It's not that I think the drop off is that. But if you're asking me, do I think that, what my confidence level is on the Eagles being a Super Bowl contender with a team that is led by their offense next year, I'm not super confident. I think when we look at the offense, first of all, you mentioned all those quarterbacks they beat. Yeah, they beat those quarterbacks because the defense played great. And in the last 2 weeks, yes, they scored a bunch of points, but we get 5 turnovers against the Commanders, I think 4 turnovers against the Kansas City Chiefs. We don't win the Packers game without the defense playing great. We don't win the Rams game without that Jalen Carter, performance at the end of it. So when I look at a team that is based on offense next year, I think you have to start with Saquon. And Saquon, I've said a bunch of times, I love Saquon. He had the single best season that I've ever seen a player have. But just the numbers do not support him doing that again next year. I hope he stays healthy. I hope they're committed to not having him do that again. But we can't expect that to happen again, right? We can't give him the ball 25 times a game and expect him to get through the entire season.
Right.
And then it just comes back to the passing game. Can the passing game make up for what we're not going to have in the running game? And I guess I'll believe it when I see it. I guess it wouldn't shock me if they're able to look in next regular season like they did in the championship game and the Super Bowl. But remember, those were 2 games where we had the threat of the Saquon Barkley that we had this year as well. Mm-hmm. And yes, those 2 games were great, but it's still 2 games compared to the other, not counting the final game of the year, the other 17 games that year where it didn't look the way that we wanted it to look, and it wasn't an offense. So I get, for me, next year, if the team is based around the offense, it doesn't seem to me like I would have a ton of confidence that this is a top of the heap, as good as any team in the NFL type of team. This team was based around the defense. It was based around the running game. The defense isn't going to be as good. The running game isn't going to be as good. So I just can't get there with a team based around the offense or a team as the best team in football when the 2 things that we relied on this year, I don't think are going to be as good next year.
Yeah.
So you say it has to be, and that's a good way of putting it, right?
Yeah.
Because if it isn't, I don't know where they are if the passing game doesn't get where it needs to be. 215-592-9494. What is your confidence on the Eagles' offense leading this team next year? This year, it was a defense-led team. It was a defense and run the ball. Next year, they're going to have to score more points if they're going to win the Super Bowl. They just are. What is your confidence that the offense can do it? Jack, your confidence on the Eagles' offense?
All I need to do is play one sound clip, and it'll shut you up, Eskin, all right?
All right.
So that's what y'all want to see, huh?
I mean, when you have him under center...
Oh, you're just doing
it's more I got to see it to believe it. And the biggest thing they're going to have to fix next year is there can't be that whole first quarter off thing. I mean, they basically took the first quarter off last season, and they're still the best team that we saw in the history of the city for a lot of people. So, yeah, I definitely need to see it before I believe it, because I do think that the defense has now become underrated from how important they were to this football team. Again, the 2 games were great. I know. They 55 against the Commanders and 40 in the Super Bowl. It was phenomenal. But what the defense did, I think, is starting to become a little bit underrated when talking about the entire season. The Eagles' offense was not that the entire season. Like the last 2 games.
It was good.
And listen, Becton is going to be a part of that. I mean, Becton not being here, is the right guard spot going to be as dominant as it was? That was the best offensive line we'd ever seen here as well. And a big member of that is gone. So I need to see it to believe it.
We do have a next question today, Mr. Ike. It is Billy Corgan's 58th birthday. Billy Corgan, lead singer of the Smashing Pumpkins. Yes, friend of the show. Spent an hour with us that one day. And he is 58. Billy Corgan, a 90s icon, lead singer of the Smashing Pumpkins. So for next question today, we'll get through your sports point. At the end, we will ask for, just give us your go-to 90s icon. Jack, I know you're only 31 years old and maybe not a 90s kind of guy.
No, mentally I'm a 90s guy.
What is, you give us your go-to 90s icon.
So,
there you go.
You're already qualifying this.
Well, last week you were
I was
a little
on fire
iffy on
last week.
question.
I was on
All right.
fire last week. I'm going to go with slamming Sammy Sosa.
What?
Sammy Sosa.
Sammy Sosa? He's not even the right home run hitter from the 90s.
Yeah, well, I figured those were bigger answers. So I went Sammy Sosa. The iconic swing, all that.
Okay.
And Bonds is a 90s guy, or 2000s guy.
Well, you just...
Dude, he hit 73 in the 2000s.
Yeah, okay. All right, fair enough.
Bonds over Sammy Sosa.
Yeah,
but Sosa was 98. Like, that was Sosa.
Well, first of all, his iconic status is voided because he wouldn't have been an icon without steroids.
Yes, but the home run still happened.
Would you do you avoid Bonds?
Of course not.
Oh, well, wait a minute. Why do you avoid Sosa, not Bonds?
Because my eyes know Hall of Fame talent when I see it.
All right, that's
Hadn't
fine.
heard of Sammy Sosa before that.
All right, that's fine.
Right?
That's fine. Yep.
Yeah.
Do you want to give us your go-to 90s icon?
So many
There's a lot.
to choose from.
Yes, sir.
I know everybody wants me, or they think I'm going to choose Tupac. I'm not going to choose
Wow,
Tupac. I'm
wow.
not going to choose Tupac this time. Although he was a great 90s icon.
He was.
You know who I'm going to go with? I'm going to go with Mike Tyson in the 90s.
Oh, a great one.
Yeah, I'm
and
gonna go
he
Mike
is
Tyson in the 90s.
he's like the length of the 90s,
Yeah.
too. Like he encapsulated the entire 90s, Mike
I had
Tyson.
the ups and the downs, the return, the trials and the tribulations of Mike Tyson. Mike Tyson's was there's no way when you talk about the biggest personalities, the most iconic people during that time, Mike Tyson is right there. There's a couple other obvious ones, but I just chose Mike Tyson.
Mike Tyson is one of those guys that if you weren't around to see it, it's so hard.
Like Jack doesn't know how big Mike Tyson was.
Mike Tyson was
I wish
everything.
I knew how great he was.
He was. You know what? Because you've grown up where boxing isn't even the thing
Yeah, you
that
don't
it
even
was.
realize how big boxing used to be.
Mike Tyson was not only an icon in boxing or in sports. In America, he was one of the 2 or 3 biggest things for a period of 7 years, something like that. So mine is actually not human.
Of course not.
My 90s icon is Bart Simpson. And very few things say the 90s to me like The Simpsons.
Yeah.
And to me, my favorite Simpson was Bart because I felt like a little kinship with Bart. He's a bit of a screw up as a teenager or however the hell old he is, always is. So I'm going Bart Simpson.
Well, it's amazing that's a 30-plus-year-old show that he's not aged one day.
Not one day.
Like one day.
Yeah. How old do we think Bart is? 14?
I have no idea. Because when I was a teenager, he looked like a kid to me then. So I thought he was like 8 or 9 years old.
See, I always felt like Lisa was 10 or 11 and Bart was 13 or 14.
Okay.
That was my gut. Do you have an opinion on how old Bart Simpson is?
I'm not a Simpsons guy.
Oh, okay.
Like, I've never found it funny.
Oh, dude, the 90s, they
The Simpsons
were
were
the
awesome.
90s for
Simpsons
sure.
were awesome. Yeah. All right, 215-592-9494.
Maggie?
Maggie.
Oh, man, we even know the baby's
The
name,
baby?
man.
Yeah. No, we know how old the baby is. She's a baby.
And she never got to Lisa's age or Bart's age.
She never even turned 2. I'm sure they said.
How many days are in a year in that city?
Right. I live in Springfield. I've lived in 2 Springfields in my life now. I'm sure Matt Groening said at some point how old Bart was, but I don't think they ever said it during the show. Did he ever celebrate a birthday on the show?
I don't remember.
Yeah. Now I'm really locked in on that. All right, 215-592-9494. Do you think the Eagles' offense can be good enough to carry the team next year? For next question today, give us a 90s icon.